Creative finance is the greatest thing on the planet Earth. You might say no to both of these, Mr. Seller, but I just want you to know I have the buyers today.
So by sharing, it completely expands and explodes his network.
But I'm gonna be a top performer that can say no confidently. That's freedom. That's called leverage. The worst day of on my mission was walking down the street as I was talking, all right, my mouth is moving. Somebody timed it perfectly to spit right in my mouth.
No! Look, however hard your day was, at least you're not Drake.
Kendrick Lamar, game over.
How can I buy groceries sub 2? I don't know. Can I do that?
When can you like hang out, talk about real estate, network with people, and look at people in bikinis? This is great. Want to tell you guys, there's so many different creative strategies that you assume it's sub 2, seller finance, lease options, wraps, all that kind of stuff. But one of the most creative strategies you guys can do as an agent is collaborate with an investor like me. I pray to God at nighttime and I'm like, will these agents just wake up and leverage themselves into my deals? Okay, so let me give you a good example. I have an agent that brought me a deal in Kermit, Texas recently, and he's like, I have no idea what to do with this. This is a seller that wants too much money for this RV park. And I go, okay, cool. Well, get me on the phone with him. I'll convert it into a seller financing. I'll do the heavy lifting. You can watch me do the whole thing. And he's like, well, how do I get paid? I go, bro, you guys and your commissions. It's poison, okay? It's this little box. I go, I'm gonna give you two choices. I'm gonna give you a commission, or I'm gonna give you 20% equity in my RV park.
Hey, time out. Which is better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Okay, and he says, can I have both? And I love it. And the answer is yes, you can have both. You just have to like take a little bit, you know, if you have two levers, they can't be like both of them all the way up. You know, they gotta be a little bit, whatever. So I worked out a deal with him. His name's Brandon. And I said, Brandon, your commission on this, if you were going to list this property, you'd probably get about, I don't know, $45,000, something along those lines. How about I pay you $10,000 just as a referral fee? Then I'll give you 12% of the equity of the deal. And he's like, well, can you show me the math? I'm like, bro, oh my gosh, okay. So here's the math. Let me give you the math. Okay. So the math is this RV park brings in about $48,000 a month gross top line revenue. And it nets $26,000 a month. That's net after every last expense, $26,000. So if you own 20% of something that's bringing in $26,000 a month net, what are you making every month?
4 or 5 grand.
$5,200. Yeah, even Androids can do the math, okay? Just kidding, it's an iPhone. So $5,200 a month. Not only will he get $5,200 a month for bringing that deal to me, he also gets 20% of the upside. He gets a K1. A lot of agents don't even know what a K1 is. He'll get a tax return showing that I just did a cost segregation, and he'll get this big, fat, juicy write-off on his taxes. He'll get like $110,000 off of his taxes just for bringing me a lead. I converted the deal. I did the contract. I got the financing put together. I'm running the management. I'm doing all of that crap. He does nothing. Why would I do this? Because I want that agent to bring me another one. And I want him to go, oh my gosh, this is the honey hole. I bring this to an investor. Sure, I can get some commissions up front. Great, I'm cool with that all day long. But I'm gonna give you a little bit less money on the other side. So creative finance is not just sub 2 and seller finance. Creative finance is looking at an investor and going, what do you really need in your life? Yeah, you need a deal and you need somebody to bring you a deal. That's a lot of value. Okay, who in here has an acquisition team? Okay. Texting, cold calling, training, doing all these kind of things. If you took all that away from me and all I did was get agents bringing me deals, that is an answer to my prayers. And so what I call this the wedge method. It's one of the creative things that I do with agents where I'm like, I will wedge you into my deals. And I'll tell you guys a story today on stage about an agent named Samantha that didn't believe in sub 2. I ended up calling her seller on after she got fired, expired listing. And I ended up working 21 deals with her for the next 12 months because I closed that deal sub 2 when she said the seller was not interested. I just bought it after she got fired. This is so fun, I get to do this for a living. I closed the deal. I then called her up and I said, hey, I've got a check for you for $2,500. I'm gonna hold it in escrow and it's gonna get released on our next deal together. And I want to show you that I did this deal, even though you said it wasn't possible. I did the deal, and I'm not trying to rub your face in poop. I'm trying to show you that it's possible to do this, and we should work together, and you've got clients calling you and whatever else. There are opportunities. You're just not opening up your mind. And so she goes, okay, so what do I got to do? And I go, next time you have a low equity or a long day on market listing and it's not selling, days on market are climbing, right? Last year, this year?
Hey, I'm curious, how many people have a listing been on the market a little bit?
Oh, shit, are you kidding me? That's the greatest lead for me. Okay, and I will call your seller. I will get on Zoom with you. I will walk you through, and I will show you how to convert that seller and get them what they need if it's appropriate for them. Obviously, sometimes it's not a good fit. But she then goes, she gets the check for $2,500, and she just lights on fire. She's like, are you kidding me? Do you know how many deals I've just left by the wayside? So we get to like the third or fourth deal, and I go, can I tell you what you actually are leaving on the table? She's like, what? Because all she cared about was the commission, right? Commission. I said, here's what you should be doing. Next deal we do together, I'm giving you 5% ownership. Then the next deal after that, 10%. The next deal after that, 15%. And the next deal after that, 20%. And when you get to that, I will retroactively go backwards on all the deals that I've bought from you, and I will give you 20% of all of those deals.
Notice something, though. What's happening there? They're becoming partners, but what is he willing to do?
Compensate.
Share!
Yeah.
Do you understand? But with that mindset of like, oh man, all of this is mine, and I don't want to have another agent involved. I don't want to have anybody else involved. So by sharing, it completely expands and explodes his network of people that are bringing him opportunities.
And they know, here's the other thing is now that agent, she gets blown up by all these low ball cash offers all day long, yet she's partners with me. Mm-hmm. So when she has a client who maybe does have a hoarder house, pretty rare, but let's say they're in foreclosure, they have a hoarder house, whatever, who's she gonna call? The guy that's texting her with a low ball cash offer, or the guy she already makes money with and sends her a check every single month?
And the guy who went back and retroactively gave her 20% on all those other deals.
Like you guys could retire. Here's the cool thing, right? You can retire as an agent in less than 12 months. And what I mean by that is not stop being an agent, but you can start picking and choosing where you focus your time. Whereas like right now as an agent, I married an agent, my partners are agents, my whole team, they're all agents. They would never let me get a license. So I have to make babies with people who have licenses. So what I mean by that is there are all these agents that you're chasing, like I gotta go fill my pipeline and I don't care what the opportunity is, I gotta fill that pipeline. And you take clients you don't wanna take and you do things you don't wanna do. Think about if you had $12,000 coming in every single month from an RV park or a small multifamily deal that an investor wedged you into, and you wake up, right, 48-year-old.
Yes, sir.
This is the exact question you asked me. Yes, and you wake up in the morning and go, this client's a nightmare. I'm going to refer them to another agent. I don't need that client. I'm going to pick and choose who I focus on. I'm going to go do my own developments. I'm going to stay as an agent. I'm going to be a top performer, but I'm going to be a top performer that can say no confidently. Mm-hmm. That's freedom. So working with an investor and collaborating, this is why when I reached out to Aaron, I was like, this guy's a gamer. This guy does the deals. You know how many people in our industry, my industry, his industry, as influencers, do not actually do deals. Yeah. Aaron does deals. Aaron turns people into deal makers. So when I reached out to him, I was like, dude, this guy's a badass, which means he attracts badasses, right? Because your vibe attracts your tribe. And here he is. He's got his tribe full of badasses because that's who he attracts. He's like a magnet for that. You guys have it in you. You just got to get rid of the commission brain is cool. Focus on it 85% of the time. But 15% of your deals go, how do I wedge myself into a developer? How do I wedge myself into an RV park buyer, mobile home park buyer? How do I get myself ownership without having a bank, without having the money? I just bring the opportunity to the guy because the value for us, you have, how many text messages you send out every single month? 1,000 a day. So when people are out there as investors trying to go find these deals, what would I rather have? A team that I have to manage, train, and freaking constantly motivate that sends out 1,000 texts a day, or just an agent that brings me an opportunity that the seller just wants a little bit too much money? Mm-hmm.
The criteria for the properties that you buy?
I have a buy box, for sure. I have 5 buy boxes. Email me, deals@pacemorby.com, and I'll give you my 5 buy boxes. But more importantly, I'll give you like the top 400 buyers that are my best friends in the country. They're in every state. I'll give you a list. I have all their buy boxes lined out, and you can just call them up and go, can I do the wedge method with you? If I bring you something that the seller's open to seller finance, well, I don't know how to convert. I I don't want you to talk to the seller about seller finance. Let me do that. And then you can be on the Zoom. I love to do it on Zoom. So I want to show you how to do it. So the next time you get a little bit further to the point where you'll get it to a point, hey, Pace, I got the seller finance deal under contract. It's open to escrow. Are you ready to go? That would probably take 5 or 6 times for you to watch me do it. Right. But I'll give you, no matter, is everybody here in Florida?
No. Arizona.
California? Okay, cool.
They're all around the country.
Georgia, I love Georgia. Oh, Jersey. I don't love Jersey as much as I love Georgia, but it's cool.
Texas.
Jersey's dope. San Antonio's great. You guys got Burger Boy. You can't lose with that. So I'll give you a list. 400 people. I have about an average of 10 people per state. 8, 9, 10 people per state. Like evenly distributed on this list, and it will be people that all will do the wedge method with you, not only on single family but commercial, self-storage, all sorts of things. So great. I never give that list out because these people are like high-level people. I'll do it for Aaron.
And before you ask that question, what I want everybody to recognize is that when I ask people how do we see things, they think it's a trick question. And they look at me like, what are you asking me, right? And usually, invariably, they'll tell me their eyes. And I'm like, well, what if I told you that's not how you actually see things? It's actually your mind that sees things. It uses our eyes as a mechanism to gather data for us to see, yes? Here's what's wild about that. If my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes are blind to the opportunity. There will literally be something directly in front of me and I won't see it. How many people have recognized that there was a deal to be made, but you were inept because you didn't have the knowledge to do it? Raise your hands. That's crazy. You see how much money you left on the table? And that's specifically why I asked Pace to be here, because he has that knowledge. He can help you to see something that you weren't aware was present. And not only that, he can connect you with the people to help you facilitate it. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So half of my listings, and Aaron knows, are commercial. I get commercial deals.
Love it.
So instead of going to my partner and just having us present to the seller to get the listing, you're saying present it, give it to, like, how do I get it in front of you or I?
Okay, so there's a lot of cool ways to do this. So depending on everybody in the room, okay, everybody's gonna have a unique, tailored relationship with however you do your business. But if you're going to a listing presentation, if I'm an agent, what I'm doing is I'm going to that listing presentation with 2 offers with real buyers before I even tell them. Here's the offers. I'm going to give you a cash offer and a seller finance offer. And then I'm also going to talk about the listing, go retail, if you guys are willing to go and wait and go that route. But I have a buyer that will give you a cash offer right now, and I have a buyer that will do a seller finance at what we think retail price is. You walk into the listing appointment and say, you might say no to both of these, Mr. Seller, but I just want you to know I have the buyers today. This is why anybody else you're talking to, your person to go to church with, the referral from your grandma, they're all idiots. Obviously, you would never say that about another agent, but you just say, hey, this is why I stand out. I have extra clubs in my golf bag. Whatever the shot requires, I can pull a different club out. I've got a seller finance note, help you save on taxes, get you a higher purchase price. We can close in 10, 15 days. Woo! On commercial. Or we can do a cash offer. It's going to be lower than what you want, but they'll close in 10, 15 days too. So what you would do is you go to an investor. I have a handful in Jersey. I have one of the biggest developers in the country, lives in Philly, that does Jersey stuff as well. He owns a bunch of hotels in Fishtown in Philly. Oh, coolest guy ever, Doran Levy. Anything you would need, you'd go to them and go, give me a cash offer so I can go prepared to the listing appointment. And you tell the seller, here's my 2 options. If you don't like these, perfect. Let's list the property, just knowing we can go back to those at any point. And there's no BS thing like my offer is good for 30 days. No, dude, these are legit buyers. They're going to be around in 90 days. They're going to be around in 180 days too. So why don't we go and see what happens on the retail market? If you get the highest price, perfect. But if the market starts telling us, hey, maybe we're a little bit off, my buyers are here. So I can guarantee you a sale with these 2 people on day 1. That's what makes me different. So that's what I would do as an agent.
Which is so valuable, because what we're really doing otherwise is we're just trying to convince them that we're better to put in MLS than somebody else.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, stop. Did you hear what I just said?
So good.
Otherwise, what you're really doing is you're just trying to convince somebody that you're better to put it in MLS than somebody else. What's our real value proposition? Having buyers. Yes? So what Pace just said is so valuable, because you're like, look, dude, all these other guys are telling you they have buyers. Bam, here they are right here. Now, if we don't do those, it's cool. We could still do this, but they're still going to be here.
Yeah, these are my back pocket buyers. They'll back me up anytime. You know, you have that on day one. Here's their names. Here's the last 3 deals they closed. You can bring that in a listing presentation. Game over. Kendrick Lamar, game over.
You know, he texted immediately, and I laughed so hard. He's like, right after the Super Bowl, he's like, look, however hard your day was, at least you're not Drake. Bro, I laughed so hard when he texted that, bro. I was like, yeah, it was pretty rough. That was pretty rough.
Oh, I was on Twitter, and I'm like, people just did not get it. Like, this is the worst halftime show of all time.
No.
Like, it's because you don't understand marketing.
Yeah.
You don't understand. Oh my gosh, genius. Go ahead.
2 questions. Do you know where Oregon is?
Oregon? Yeah, that's where people have long beards and chop down trees. I'm going to be in Oregon actually next week. I'm doing a meetup for the first time in 5 years. I haven't been to Oregon in a long time. Not the part I wish I was going to. I wish I was going to Bend or like Bandon Dunes, but I'm going to Portland. Have you ever heard of that crappy place? Yeah, oh, you're down. What's yours called? Okay. I'm going to be going to a place called Lebanon. Yeah, so I'm doing a meetup. One of my students is getting married, and I just love these people so much. So sometimes people ask me, will you come? I baptized one of my students like 3 months ago.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, it was freaking cool.
That's awesome.
So I'll go to weddings and stuff like that, and this is randomly in Lebanon, Oregon.
The other question with that is, I just bought a sub-2 deal for myself.
Nice.
I don't know a lot about it, but I got help from an agent in your community.
Amazing.
I also have another one with that same agent that we're trying to sell.
Is it Carolina Allen?
Andrew McGuire.
Oh yeah, Andrew, one of my best friends, yeah. I was just with Andrew on Saturday, yeah.
It's kind of loaded, but like we're having trouble selling this deal because the entry fee to get in is pretty high.
Okay, so,
Arrears, it's like 40 grand in arrears. We're trying to get paid, obviously, like an assignment fee.
yeah.
So I'm kind of stuck.
Okay, so there's a couple of ways to do this. I do this thing, this is a long answer, so I'm gonna try and keep it as short as possible. You're getting me obsessed in the things I get excited about. So what he's talking about is he has a sub-2 deal. So there's a guy in my community, he's an agent, and he was struggling a couple years ago, so he joined sub-2, and he starts calling expired listings. He goes to my expired listing training, and he just starts calling expired listings. A week later, he finds a 4-plex sub-2, sells it to me, he makes 21 grand. Do you know, Andrew was about to kill himself. Like, you don't know that about him. That was 18 months ago. The next month, he made 90 grand just assigning deals to people in the community. And then I put him as a leader on Saturday mornings. He trains expired listings and calls live and does that. Like, guys, the transformation of a lifetime is 3 hours away from you. It truly, truly is. Like, 3 hours away. And the conduit to that is the way this guy speaks and all of that kind of stuff. So anyway, Andrew McGuire, expired listing. You get a deal. Sometimes the sellers are behind on their mortgage 10 months, right? You're crap. They got $30,000 in arrears they got before I get paid and before my buyer has to pay for closing costs. We're trying to find a retail buyer. Okay, cool. What I do a lot of times is I will bring in a private money lender. Andrew knows this. So I'll bring in a private money lender and go out to my buyers and go, hey, we will fund your second lien position with a private money lender so you don't have to bring all the money to the table. Their payment goes up, but they also don't have to bring any money to the table. Does that make sense? So if your arrears are the problem, anybody in here have like 40 grand? Okay. Would you take 12% interest on 40 grand for it? Okay, cool. So there's the people that will come in and front load those arrears on a piece of real estate. So they're protected. They would front load that. Your buyer comes to the table. So if you have any buyers that are sniffing around,
Right now.
okay, tell him. There you go. Tell him, if I bring the money for you, will you buy the deal? I'll get on a Zoom with you and Andrew, and I'll show. Andrew knows how to structure this, but I'll walk you through.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows it, obviously, but like, yeah, we haven't even talked about it, and I don't know, right? I'm just an agent, right? So I'm like trying to figure it all out. It's a lot, right? It's like there's always different avenues you can go. So I'm trying not to get too like pulled in 10 different directions.
Yeah.
But I see the power in it, obviously, and I've seen it from Andrew firsthand. We've talked about it a lot, so
Yeah.
figure out how to incorporate it.
It's super easy. For me, I get obsessed with those deals because, again, it's like, how do we, like Aaron says, what is our value proposition? It's solving a problem nobody else can solve. It's not, hey, I have access to the MLS, right? Like any of you guys calling expired listings trying to just get a listing, you're competing against me.
Yes. And you'll lose.
You'll lose. When I call an expired listing, I go, hey, I'm sure you are sick of talking to agents. I'm a buyer. I'd like to buy your house today. That's my opening line, right? Like that's what they want to hear after 6 months of not getting their house sold, right? So with expired listings, you'll run into a lot of people that are like, I was on the market for 6 months. I moved out. I was in foreclosure. Now I don't know what to do. That's basically what's happening with your situation. Dude, I'll go get a private money lender together. I'll structure that deal and I'll hand that off to a buyer. Like turnkey, that buyer comes in, I make $15,000 doing something nobody else is willing to do.
Or didn't know how to do.
Or didn't know how to do.
So this is a perfect example, yes?
Yes.
Look at that bridge.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, here's this problem. I lack the information and the knowledge of how to solve it. But the fantastic news is there are guides that can help you to solve that problem.
And like, here's what the cool thing too is like, as an investor myself, I'm not a big Oregon person, not because Oregon's bad, but because I'm in 15 markets, I wish I was in 8, right? As you scale, you're like, gosh, dang it, I wish I just stayed in these 8 markets, you know? Because I own properties in Gainesville and Jacksonville, but I only own a handful. My marketing machine wasn't like hammering there, so I was like buying a smattering of them, but I haven't scaled that up to a point where my management is efficient. I wish I could just sell those properties, 1031 them into properties where I have better management. Oregon's one of those places that I don't have management, right? I don't have a team there. Yes, I have students there, but they're not going to manage my stuff for me. Okay, so I would look at that deal if it was in Arizona. This is what Andrew comes to me for. Andrew's like, hey, I've got somebody who has a lot of arrears. I need help finding a buyer. I go, I'll buy the deal. I will own the deal, and I will sell it on a lease option. Why? Because now I get the tax benefits, I get the cash flow, and then, guys, creative finance is the greatest thing on the planet Earth. I will take a listing that couldn't sell for 500, close on it, sub 2, 3.5%, 4%, bring $40,000 to the table, catch up arrears, closing costs, blah, blah, blah. And I will sell that listing. It couldn't sell for $500,000. I will sell it on a lease option for like $670. In creative finance, because who's my appraiser?
You.
Me and the buyer. The buyer is the appraiser. Whatever the buyer deems as the right price is the right price, not any appraiser or an agent or anything else. So because I give them a 7-year term, go, hey, I'll let you execute on this lease option at any point in the next 7 years. I've created $170,000 in equity that I just have to wait for 7 years to get that pop. And I get this big pop in 7 years of 170 grand. My team will call me and go, hey, we got another check today for like $112,000. Cool, what's it from? Oh, a lease option you did 3 years ago. Like, imagine having these big chunks of money coming. Anyway, that's a whole full day of just talking about lease options.
We're in contract right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do.
I would go to like Carolina Allen in my community. She's one of our big leaders in Oregon. I would go to Carolina Allen, have Andrew McGuire introduce you to her, and she'll help you either find a buyer or maybe she'll be the buyer and then she'll sell it on a lease option herself.
Hey, Pace, I just saw your one of your YouTubes, right? I was driving at the time. I saw that you were in Corpus Christi. You had like some apartment buildings, man. It just blew my mind. I literally went to my wife. I was like, we're going to get 40 units this year.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
I wanted to ask you, I'm here in San Antonio, and just wanted to know what would be the first thing that you would suggest?
Crexi.com, type in owner finance, done. Crexi, commercial real estate exchange interface, CREXI.com. Go to Crexi.com right now and go to the search bar and type in owner finance. RV parks, mobile home parks. Luckily, like 5 years ago, I went to Crexi. You guys, some people in here already know who Crexi is and LoopNet. I went to LoopNet, I went to LandWatch, and I went to some of these websites. I was like, guys, you got to change the filter. You guys got to have a seller finance filter. This is going to be the wave of the future. The way banks are going and the scrutiny and all the BS. And then I went to Crexi, and they were like, dude, this is genius. And I got ownership in Crexi, which is freaking crazy for
Just for giving them the guidance?
giving them the guidance, yeah. Like, how do we filter this, and and how do we find the people, and how do we communicate? So I get 300,000 shares of that company every single year. That's like valued at $3 a share. I get like 900 grand a year just for showing them how to make that filter. So that filter, that's called creative finance too, just so you guys know. That's called leverage. Okay. So Crexi.com is a really great place to go. And what I would do in the very beginning of like small multifamily RV parks, mobile home parks, the number one skill you need to acquire, what I love about Aaron is he talks about acquiring skills, stacking skills, okay? I'm a Boy Scout, literally. My parents would not let me kiss a girl, go on a date, drive a car until I got my Eagle Scout. So for me, it was all about learning or earning those little merit badges that they wear on the sash. bow hunting, canoeing, math, blah, blah, blah. My brain works that way. Okay, what's the next skill? The skill you need to acquire from going on Crexy and owner finance is what to say no to. You need to go say no to 100 properties and then tell me why these are no, okay? DM me on Instagram and I'll give you a free like multifamily underwriting course. And it's Bo, who's my portfolio manager. He lives in Miami. He used to run a $5 billion fund and now he runs my portfolio. He made a course. I have not watched it. But Bo will show you how to underwrite and learn how to say no before you say yes. So if you have the skill of going on Crexy and going, I know why that's a no, that's the next step. Then DM me and ask me another question. I'll give you the next step.
Wow is right. Wow is right.
Yeah, DM me on Instagram. I actually do, for the most part, I answer the DMs.
Hey, and I promise you it's him.
Yeah. Sometimes like on days like this where I flew in red eye and I'm flying back home in like 2 hours, I'll go 8 or 9 hours where I can't look at my phone and I'm hanging out with you. This is more important to me than looking at my phone, obviously. So my team knows that, looking at my calendar, and they'll be DMing me when I'm not, or DMing for me when I'm not available. But people like Aaron, they'll go, oh, Aaron's Pace's friend. We won't answer that. They know. But if you guys ask me for anything, my team either A, will give you a resource that they know if I'm not available, or B, they'll leave it for me to answer when I am available.
Any other questions, team?
Looking back on your career, I imagine you didn't see yourself being the person that you are today. What was something that was insignificant, like in the past journey, that led you to here, that made you realize, like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to focus on? Because I imagine as an entrepreneur, you had so many different opportunities, but like you went all in on the creative finance. So what was that thing that made you realize, like?
I mean, if you want to hear the story, I could tell you the story. I don't know how much time we have, but F-150 is a good one. Okay, so I was a contractor. I grew up in a contractor family. That's what I learned how to do: swing a hammer, make money, trade time for money. Similar to what agents do primarily, right? We trade time for money a lot of times. And I always knew I wanted to get into real estate. Why? Because somebody told me I should. I didn't know exactly why. That was an important thing. But the reason why I have become successful is very similar to the reason why Aaron's become successful and you guys have become successful, is I can track all of the money I've made back to a person I met who changed my life. Every time. A conversation I had, a meeting I had, rooms like this, guys, oh my gosh. Think about this. 10 years ago in your earlier life, 15 years ago, if somebody came to you and goes, okay, one day there's going to be a room full of people that all want the same thing, and they're all givers, and they're all motivated, and they all watch out for you. And the cool thing is, somebody named Aaron Novello is going to filter all of them in for you, and all you had to do is get yourself into the room, and you could make millions of dollars with the people in the room. You'd be like, how do I sign up for that? Right? Do you remember a time in your life where like you would have died to be in this room? I do. For me specifically, it was a lady. You want to hear the most creative deal I ever done in my life? Yeah. Yes. Before I even got into real estate. So when I jumped into construction, I was 22 years old. I just come home from my mission. I sold Jesus door to door. So like doing what I do today is a day off.
Yeah, it's easy, baby. It's easy.
Selling Jesus in Korean, knocking doors.
Really? I didn't know that. Korean?
Korean.
Wow.
I knocked 79,000 doors in 2 years.
Wow.
79,000 doors in Korean. I had the worst day on my mission was walking down the street, and somebody, as I was talking, all right, my mouth is moving, somebody timed it perfectly to spit right in my mouth.
No.
Because Americans are not welcome, especially missionaries, like, Mormon missionary, nerdy looking dudes. I get home from my mission, I jump into construction. The only way I knew how to get business was like posting on Craigslist, right? Posting on Craigslist. So I start building a little handyman business. I'm painting in the mornings, handyman business in the evening. And I get a call from a guy named Scott Bigelow. And Scott Bigelow calls me, he goes, hey, I need somebody that can paint 15 houses. I saw your ad on Craigslist. I go, 15 houses? Okay, cool. Like over the next couple months? He's like, no, per week. I'm like, yeah, I'm not a good fit for that. Best thing this guy ever, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was like a big brother beating me up. And he says, are you in the business of saying no? Or are you in the business of figuring out how to say yes? 15 houses a week, and you're telling me you're not a good fit? You better figure out how to be a good fit. This isn't 20 seconds of being on the phone with the guy. Okay. Now the story is really, really good. But again, you're asking the question, what were some pivotal moments? It's always a who. It's always a person that pivots me. You know, it's like brushes off the rough edge on my shoulder, watches out. Like a good brother will watch out for you, watch your back, have your back. These relationships we accumulate are more important than any skill, really, at the end of the day. Because what would I rather have? Every skill in the book or access to every skill in the book? Who's going to help me with this? Who can help me with the contract, right? Type of thing. Anyway, so Scott, I'm on the phone with him, and he goes, I'm going to call you back in an hour, and I want to hear you say yes. So I get off the phone. I'm like, oh. So what did I do? I thought creatively, right? I called the paint company I would buy paint from, and I would go, it's the name of the company is Dunn Edwards. Some of you guys know who Dunn Edwards is, like Sherwin-Williams or Benjamin Moore. I called up Dunn Edwards and I said, hey, who's the painter that buys the most paint from your guys' location? And they go, oh, it's this company called Luxor. And I go, cool, can you put me in touch with this company called Luxor? And so you give me Tom's number. Tom's the owner of Luxor Paint. I call Tom. I tell him the situation. He goes, okay, cool, perfect. My friends, this was one of the most pivotal moments of my life. Tom, I said, hey, Tom, like all I want, I'll connect you with Scott and you together. I'll put you guys in a text message together. Just pay me $2,500. That's what I told Tom. Tom says, no, my friend, I'm going to teach you what arbitrage is. I'm like, what? Was that Egyptian? What is that? What is that? I'm 24, okay? These are things that your dad can't teach you, your mom ain't teaching you any of this stuff, right? And he says, I'm going to teach you what arbitrage is. If we're going to paint 15 houses a week for you, I'm going to make sure that your $400 every single house that I paint every single week goes to you. All I want you to do is stop by those houses every Saturday and you and I build a relationship. I call Scott back, or Scott calls me back up and I go, I got it. We're going to paint 15 houses. Dude, I painted 15 houses a week for that guy for 4 years. I made $26,000 a month for 4 years off of the arbitrage of Luxor paint. That allowed me to hire people and build my company and gamble on bad employees before I knew how to be a leader, right? And actually hire the right people, etc. This catapulted me. I then was the biggest contractor for Open Door. I was the biggest contractor for OfferPad. I was the biggest contractor for Zillow in Arizona and 3 other markets. I was the guy, and I'm making millions of dollars. Well, here's what's cool. Okay, fast forward, that contract ends. Scott Bigelow was, oh, this is crazy. So I live in Mesa, Arizona. This is a year ago. Okay, fast forward now, 17 years later. I'm in Mesa, Arizona. I'm driving by this dope house that's being built, like insane. Probably 15,000 square feet. Normal for you guys here in Florida. All these freaking houses on the ocean. And I drive by and there's Luxor paint trucks outside of this house. It's just being framed. I'm like, what is a painting company doing at a house that's just being framed? So I stop. I'm curious, right? Eternally curious. And I get out and I walk in and I see the guy in the Luxor shirt. I go, dude, what are you guys doing? Are you guys painting? Like, you guys work for Luxor, blah, 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 blah. What, you guys getting ready to paint? He goes, oh, no. This is the owner's house, Tom's house. We're building it, and we're just all helping him out, blah, blah, blah. I go, dude, tell Tom I love him. I appreciate him. I haven't heard from him in 15 years. He goes, dude, Tom's right here. He's in the backyard. I walk in the backyard. His wife is there, and Tom sees me. He goes, peace. He almost starts crying. Comes up to me, we start chatting. I go, dude, you changed can I just tell you, dude, my whole life changed because you told me, do not just take a $2,500 fee, wedge yourself into the arbitrage. Here's what happened. Here's what happened with me in my life. And he goes, can I tell you, my family, we call this house the house that Pace built.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I'm getting chills right now. He's like, I go, what? Why? And he goes, our company was facing a downturn. We needed clients desperately. And if you didn't call me, I didn't know what I was going to do. And you were the answer to our prayers. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I take a selfie with him and I text Scott Bigelow, who was the guy that said, are you in business to say no or yes? I sent as a Scott and I go, Scott, whoa, check it out. Da, 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 da. Scott calls us, we're FaceTiming. And Scott says, can I just tell you, I had called 20 painters before you. Every one of them said no, 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 no. My boss, Invitation Homes, which is Blackstone, said that if you don't find a painter today, you're fired. Scott, it was, I mean, so many lessons. I could write a whole book about this thing, right? But it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was a person I met. It was a person, a situation I put myself in. It was never me. And so the more and more I live my life, the more I realize if I want to make more money, I want to be a better leader, what do I got to do? I got to hang out with people who are making more money because they're providing more value to the marketplace than other people are, and they're better leaders. So I want to hang out with those leaders. It is never a book. It's never any of those things. It is physically getting around the people that are going to change your life. And even thinking creatively, right? Like if you hung out with me for 4 hours, you'd walk home going, oh, dude, you freaking, how do I take that?
How can I buy groceries sub 2? I don't know. Can I do that?
It's true. So yesterday, I do this thing every Thursday where I take 15 people from all over the world and I let them come spend the day with me for free. And I just go, it's called Day with Pace. So they just follow me around. I bought a whole van just to do this. And so I had this guy that's building ADUs, right? He's metal fabricating in Phoenix, Arizona. He's creating a manufacturing line, but he's like, I don't know how to market. I don't know how to sell. I don't know but I'm a great fabricator. I want you to come and check out my product. I want you to buy some, and I want you to see if this is a cool product. I go, cool. This will be really good for me to bring these 15 people from all over the world and have them go see this guy's ADU shop, right? It's kind of like Boxable, but made out of all tube steel. So I walk in there and I'm thinking, how do I take 40% of this guy's business and take him to this revenue goal? How do I go build a team behind him and take all the crap off his plate that he's not good at and take 40% of a company that I think could be $1 billion company? Everybody else in the van, we're walking out, I was like, so Pace, how many of those are you gonna buy? I'm like, that's all you saw in that space? That's like Aaron said.
If your mind is blind to the possibility, your eyes are blind to the opportunity. There was literally do you see how powerful that is? I know that sounds like catchy and it's cool and you're like, wow, that's cool. No, like it's a legit difference between something materializing or it not. And we've talked this week where we were like, hey, you're one relationship away from changing your family tree for the rest of your life. What are you hearing from Pace? You're one relationship away from changing your family tree for the rest of your life. So it's getting proximity to those people who can show you something that you're just not aware of.
Yeah, and again, it's a cheesy answer, but it's never how, it's always who. You know, who helped you with your sub 2 deal? Andrew McGuire, right? It's like I read it in a manual or ChatGPT ain't doing it. Like it's not going to change your life. If it was, we'd all be billionaires.
Yep.
Okay. It is always a who. So I would just sit down and go, what am I missing in my life? And who can bring that resource to the table and what value can I bring to that person? My little secret to life is this. Knowing what I want. It's 3 steps. It's always the same thing. If I'm feeling flustered, overwhelmed, I feel like there's a brick on my head holding me from going to my next level. I'm not Alex Hormozy. I'm not going to be as eloquent as him. I'm not as smart as him. I'm just a blue collar dude that loves to work really hard. But I found that this little 3-step principle works every time. I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed, I'm lost, I'm whatever. I sit down and I go, do I know what I want? Do I specifically know what I want? What did Shakespeare say? He said, know thyself. What do you want? Do you want to be in multifamily? How much money do you want to have every single month? What does freedom look like? Have you written these things down? Know thyself. Number 1, what do I want? Number 2, who has what I need and who can help me with this? And then find out what do they want and what do they need and bring it to them. Good example, okay? I wanted to learn how to speak better on stage. This is a more recent goal, right? Maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I'm like, who's the best on stage? Who's the best? Dean Graziosi, insane. Nobody's better than him. Tony Robbins, cool. That's lunacy to think I can just have a relationship with those people. Oh, no, it's not, because I know what I want. I know who has it. All I have to figure out is what do they want. So what I did is I looked at Dean's social and Tony's social, and I was like, what do they have going on that they're trying to do? And I found a thing that Dean was trying to get like affiliates to push this new launch he had. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I'll just go push his launch and I won't even call, text, bother him at all. I just will show up with so much freaking value to this guy that he will be like, who the F are you?
Which is exactly how our relationship started. So he invited me on a Zoom call, right? And we talk about it's like, how can I add value to his community? Yes?
Yes.
And I show up and I burn the building down.
Oh, so good.
Right? And then he was gracious enough. You know what he said to me? Hey, bro, I don't really do this in my community, but do you have anything that you want to sell them? And I said, no, I am just very appreciative of the opportunity to add value to your community. Do you see how that's different than what you're thinking? It's who has, like Pace is saying, get certainty and clarity. There's immense power in certainty. What do you actually want? Who has it? And how can I add value to them or their community or whatever they're doing? I remember I heard you tell a story recently where you were like, yeah, you wanted to interview Grant. Mm-hmm. And he called his team and Grant's like, it's $167,000. And Pace was like, look, dude, I pay for relationships. I'm not opposed to that. That's what masterminds are, yes?
Yes.
You're paying to get proximity to get in the room to get around the people who have what you want. And it makes sense to do that. I've been professionally coached since I'm 26. I promise you, it's the best investment you ever make, okay? And he's like, look, I'm not opposed to that. But then he started, he was like, all right, kind of like fittered away, whatever. He's like, okay. And then you're at a party, right?
Yeah, what I thought in that moment is I said, okay, I don't think I provide enough value to Grant other than just the financial exchange.
Right.
So I went back home and I said, what do I need to create in value? And I didn't really know that at the time. But I had then met Grant 4 or 5 times at parties. Homeboy never remembered my name one time. And even the party that I went to at the time. So in between the time that I was given the quote of $167,000 to spend an hour with Grant and the time that we became friends, I got a TV show on A&E and landed a 6-year contract with them. And that was great. We did that TV show for a number of years. But during that time frame, I had met Grant at a party, an opening of this, of that, a mastermind or whatever, and we had met and people had introduced me to him. But it's like, hey, this is Pace Morby, the real estate investor. Okay, well, Grant's a real estate investor. Does he want to necessarily meet another real estate investor?
No.
Grant's a very competitive guy, so he's going to be like, oh, another guy that's trying to be me, right? So this happens 4 times. And the 5th time we're at a party. It's actually his 10X opening in Scottsdale, and I was invited to it. And I am in the underground parking, and I'm walking in, going to the elevator. Grant walks in. We're going up together. I'm like, hey, Grant, good to see you again. He's like, what's your name? It's the 5th time I've met this guy, and he's saying, what's your name? Cool. I don't have any feelings about that. All I know is I have not provided you enough value to make myself stick. So I go up, and that's how I look at it. I don't hold that against him. Are you kidding me? I'd be like, how the hell would you remember my name? I've never done anything for you. I've never provided value to you.
Yeah, it's like walking in a room and I'm like, hey, how many of you guys know who I am? And they're like, let's say 30% of the room. I'm like, hey, that's my bad.
Yeah.
I haven't added enough value for you to know who I
100%.
am. I need to step up my game.
100%. So I go upstairs and somebody goes, hey, have you met Grant? Like, are you connected with Grant? I was like, I don't know if I provided enough value. He goes, get him on your TV show. So he takes me over to Grant and he goes, hey, Grant, this is Pace Morby, TV host of Triple Digit Flip on A&E. Different value proposition. Mm-hmm. Grant, this is what Grant does. Dude, put your number in my phone. And we've become really good friends since. I've been to his house 50 times and text him monthly. And that came from just having a different... Now, am I saying, hey, go get a TV show? No, it's just if you're trying to get a hold of somebody that has the skill or the resource you're trying to get, find out what they want. Obviously, we know what Grant wants. Grant wants more eyeballs. So I had to go bring more eyeballs to Grant, right? So other people in this room, like, what is it that person is that you want? I'd say the biggest challenge with all of that is knowing what you want. Most people are like, I don't really know what I want. I'm 42, I'm 48, I'm 36, I'm blah, 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 blah. It changes all the time. Why? Because your perception of the world changes all the time. You're upgrading your thought processes all the time. Well, is there a foundational thing that you're stuck on? And if there's a foundational thing you're stuck on, write that down and then say, blank is going to solve this problem. And it's a person's name. Find that person's name. Ask Aaron, hey, Aaron, who do you think could solve this problem for me? Right? Like you, hey, what's my immediate answer? Is it, let me give you instruction?
No, it was a person.
It was a person.
Immediately. And I've watched him do that in crowds of 5,000 people. He'll be like, there's a problem. And he's like, oh, Bob's sitting right over there. Bob, stand up, raise your hand. Yep. Hey, this is the person who's going to solve your problem. Great, see you later, walk away. That's what he does all the time. So getting good at matching those and understanding that, again, it's a value game, guys. Whoever adds more value wins. You're just talking about features and benefits. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't care. It's really about adding value.
I don't know how much time we have, but I'll tell you a quick 2-minute story.
Yeah, we got like 5 minutes.
Perfect. So I'll take 4 minutes and a half.
Let's go. Let's go.
Just kidding. No, this is a quick story. So I do a lot of meetups. I love meeting people because every single person is a gateway to $1 billion. Every single person. And one of my mentors, his name is Randy Garn. Randy Garn says, you never know who's holding the treasure map to your treasure. I was like, all right, cool. So now I have to go back and tell you how I met Randy. I'm on a private jet 7 years ago before I felt like I could feel valuable enough to be on a private jet. And I meet Randy. Randy's sitting there and I go, dude, what do you do? Everybody seems to know you. What do you do for a living? He's like, I'm the guy that like when a sports team moves from this location to that location, I'm the guy that everybody calls. Or if somebody wants to go deploy $7 billion into this biotech thing, they call me, it goes through me, blah, blah, blah. When Formula One was getting set up in Miami, I'm the guy that brokered that deal. I'm like, what the freak? Okay, interesting. Like expansion of the mind, like that's a living, like that's things that people do, you know? And he's basically a connector, right? That's what he just does, connecting. It's essentially all he does. And we get into this conversation. I'm like, where have you been my whole life? And he says, well, have you recently like done personal development or like worked on yourself recently? And I go, yeah, I have. I just had a big breakthrough like 3 weeks ago. And he goes, so did I. I don't think you or I deserved to meet each other until we had gone through those breakthroughs. And the universe was keeping us away from each other until we both went through those breakthroughs. Such a valuable lesson. That's not the story I want to tell you. But the connecting aspect of like, what do you have? What do you need? What do you have? What do you need? What do you have? What do you need? So I'm at a meetup in Utah. And I always have this thought process of Randy Garn, like always asking this question, what do you have? What do you need? So I'm at a meetup in Utah. I walk up to a guy, his name's John. I go, hey, John, what's up, man? What are you working on? What do you need help with? That's another way of saying, what do you have? What do you need? What are you working on? What do you need help with? Okay. Best question. You don't want to say, where are you from? What's your favorite color? How many kids you got? Okay. You want to say, what are you working on? And what do you need help with? Like, what's that thing? And so John says, dude, I've got this development. It's like 480 units. We're almost done. I'm short $1 million. I don't know what I'm going to do to finish this project. I need $1 million to finish it off. And I was like, okay, cool. We talk about it for a couple minutes. I go, would you be bothered if I found you $1 million and I brought it to you and I asked you for some equity? He goes, are you kidding me? You would save my bacon. I go, okay, cool. I go, I'm going to go to work then. Tonight, I'm going to go to work. I'm going to see if I can raise you some money. I'm just doing it jokingly. I do this. I turn to my right. I meet the next person. Next person's name is Jody Evans. It's a guy. I go, hey, Jody, what do you have? What do you need? He says, dude, I have $1 million. I have no idea what to do.
That's crazy.
I have $1 million. I have no idea what to do with it. He has a 1031, so he has a limited time frame. He needs to put $1 million into something. And I said, oh, dude, okay, well, I don't have anything, wink, wink, that I can put $1 million into. Guys, I'm literally, John just turned his back. He's facing that way, talking to somebody else. And Jody and I are chatting. And I said, if I found you something you could roll your $1 million in, would you be opposed if I took ownership of that, like a portion of that? He goes, are you kidding me? You'd save my bacon. So I go, hey, John, hey, Jody, you guys need to meet. He deploys $1 million into this deal. I end up making $800,000 on just that introduction. Because I'm thinking like, what's his biggest problem? What's his biggest problem? And I'm looking at the room and I'm playing matchmaker. It's the greatest profession on the planet Earth. And real estate is no different. This agent has a seller with this story going on. Who's the person that actually wants that story in their life? This seller might not want the house, but this buyer wants that house, and they blah, 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 blah. They have a tax problem. So does this person. How do we bring them together and solve both problems? Oh my gosh, it's just matchmaking. It's the great people. Value, value, value. Provide more value, you'll make more money than anybody else on the planet.
How many people just had How many people just had an awareness that what he's actually doing is just matchmaking? They're like, oh yeah, he's like a creative finance guy. He's like this real estate guy. All he's doing is matching people together.
I literally just this morning, in a deal that I'm wholesaling right now, and or waiting to get, tell the agent that I need him to go back and negotiate something. But I told him inadvertently that I had another buyer for the property to get his attention. His first question was, with that other buyer, do I still get my commission? I literally had the text message, you're asking the wrong questions and you're focusing on the wrong thing. And I'm imagining that when you made that connection that one time, when you turn around and made that connection, did you think, hey, will you pay me a commission?
No.
No.
If I turn around and connect you with your product.
And the reason being is because Tom, no Pace, you're not taking a $2,500 fee. Let me teach you arbitrage.
Yeah. And I want you guys to realize the commission can be a barrier for you mentally. It's a complete barrier to an entirely different universe. It's like Earth and Mars. It's like two completely different places. So the reason why we want to bridge these two communities is to open your mind. Imagine, okay, I just got this video. How many people seen The Matrix? All right, I'm like Morpheus, okay? And he sits Neo down, and what does he say to him? He gets the red pill, the blue pill, right? He says, if you take the blue pill, you'll forget that you ever met me. You'll wake up in your house and you'll live your life as a realtor just listing property. That's it. You'll do just listed, just solds. You'll do expired, you do FSBOs, you'll get your little plastic awards. Yay. If you take the red pill though, I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Now, in the Bible it says we would prefer to be lied to than to be told the truth. I believe that that's accurate. So you know what Neo does when he's presented with that opportunity? He starts to reach for the blue pill. Yeah? You know what Morpheus does? He leans in, he says, hey, remember, all I'm offering you is the truth. Nothing more, nothing less. So you guys have the distinct competitive advantage to having access to the truth. Don't let the commission stop you. Don't let it be this barrier to entry to this entirely different universe. You can have a completely different life 12, 18, 36 months from now because of being present in the room. So I'm so grateful, dude, that you're here. I appreciate you so much. Hey, let's let them know how appreciative we are. Everybody stand up. Yeah. We're going to send that energy back to them. We're going to give them a solid 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Everybody up for that? Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. Woo! If you don't do 10 million in volume, your split's higher. If you don't use our ancillary services, your split's higher.
We don't actually need to monetize the agents and turn them into a product.
I was on a call with someone who was trying to present me with what he thought was a good opportunity. He's like, yeah, you'd have to sign this 10-year thing. I'm like, you realize I have the same opportunity. I have to sign anything. And I could do it anywhere.